Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining Sandra P's GenXtra for my political discourse. I see one of my moderators in here, Mama Bees. Thank you so much for stopping in during my political discourse. I appreciate it. I hope everyone is having the best morning that they could have under the circumstances. And if you know what I'm talking about, you may have watched the news since midnight last night. If you don't know what I'm talking about, I'm referring to the government shutdown. So let me see if I can have another layout where I can put myself next to my internet niece, Angel. She's so much younger than me. Like I said, she's my internet niece, probably great niece. I have nieces that are now working and have been in their careers and are in their 30s. A few still left in their 20s. Angel is very young, but I wish for her kind of peace in her demeanor and that confidence. I do love that. I appreciate that. The 92% really need that today. My heart has been feeling a lot of what's going on, especially with the 300,000 or so that have lost their jobs since this administration started. It's been deliberate. It's been targeted. It's just been a mess. Which we knew that. We knew that. Kamala Harris told everybody that was going to happen. We knew it was coming. It's here. Yesterday was a ish show. It was completely terrible. I couldn't listen to a lot of it. I watched some of it on mute. I listened to a lot of the clips, watching that, they call him a DUI hire. He didn't look drunk yesterday. In my opinion, he actually looked like he is, I don't know, he might be skiing the slopes now or something. He was all keyed up, all hyped up, all of that pacing, all of that. That was recognizable to me. And it never meant anything good. So he's not drinking now, but something else is going on. I'm talking about the didn't earn it hire, the Secretary of Defense. He calls himself the Secretary of War, but Congress actually has to vote to change the name of that department in that cabinet position. They have not. So he is the unqualified Secretary of Defense. And he was lecturing generals, career service members from all over the world for, it looked like it went on a couple of hours. And then they're going to have new 2 times a year physical requirements, all kind of stuff. And then they brought out the dementia patient who doesn't look like he could meet any of those requirements. He's overweight. He does not keep his mind sharp. That whole scenario was just a crazy, crazy situation. So I was looking up some more information. I actually went to the BBC.com and got a lot of good information related to this shutdown. And they had numbers in here. It says traveling to the U.S. this week, here's what you need to know. And as everyone knows, the numbers of people traveling to the U.S. have dwindled so much. People don't want to come here the way that they used to. Number one, because it's not as safe as it used to be. People are being stopped at the border when they fly in. Their phones are being searched, all kind of stuff. So BBC is giving their people information. A lot of people have had trips planned and don't have the luxury of just losing that money. Excuse me, I'm trying to turn this on just to see how everything looks. Lighting usually is my greatest challenge, but I've always worked on that. Okay, so it says the Smithsonian Institution says it has enough funds to remain open for a week. The kids are out of school tomorrow. That's something I like to do. We like to do day trips. And one of the popular ones is the museum where they have aircraft and things like that, the Space Museum in DC. That's not something I'd be willing to risk while it's closed, even though they said that they're open. They have money for a week. It says your flight plans may be affected. We know air traffic control and Transportation Safety Administration workers are considered essential, so they must report to work, but they are not being paid. So that is a downside. They won't be paid until the shutdown resolved. You know who have actually certified themselves as essential with pay? Congress, the Senate, and the House, which I find disgraceful. I feel like not only should their assets be frozen during any shutdown, but they also should not receive a paycheck either. So this is terrible. During the last shutdown, it says the workers increasingly began to call in sick, leading to airport delays. The last shutdown, y'all, interestingly enough, it was in December of 2018. I traveled during my birthday. I actually had been in Panama and I was coming back. I had a connection through Miami. TSA was there. They're never helpful, but they were particularly ornery and dingy on this day, and they caused me to miss a flight. They act like they could not read my ticket and sent me back to the ticket counter. The lines were already out the door, and I missed the flight. So that's going to happen in droves. That's going to happen by the thousands. And I also I wish peace to the people that are going through this. I think since the beginning of the year, once we knew what had happened, and after this person was sworn in, I think a lot of people started to kind of make whatever financial moves they could just to protect themselves, because we knew that this was probably coming again. As I said, this Republican shutdown, we have Republican president, we have Republican Senate, Congress. They're trying to call it a Democratic shutdown. It is not. They own this. They are in the majority. And if the Democrats couldn't work with them, I honestly don't blame them. It's up to Republicans. They own it. So this is just a mess. But also the National Zoo has enough funds to remain open for the week. And then what they're doing is the Orange Clown is threatening mass layoffs. So this has been his goal anyway, with the fraud, waste, and abuse, which we now know to be a lie because of the way that they travel. That meeting that they had yesterday, which the generals, a lot of them looked like they thought it could have been a Zoom call. I think that as well. I'm no military expert, but that's not safe to have all of them in one room. I couldn't believe that was actually allowed to happen. And I couldn't imagine being a career military person sitting before someone who didn't even serve. I think maybe he served up to 6 years. And then his job that people remember him from is that he was the weekend host over at Fox Entertainment. So that's crazy. That's a mess. So here is more information on missed wages, potential layoffs. If you're contracting with the federal government, you're not going to get your payments. Mama B spoke to everyone as she came in. So thank everyone for that. Like the video, please. If you're not subscribed, go ahead and subscribe. And also, I wanted to thank Team Replay. Thank you so much. When you come back later and watch the video, I appreciate that. It still pushes the video. Also, click like, and then go ahead and subscribe if you're not already subscribed. So it says the longer the shutdown goes on, the more people will feel it. When the cash for Social Security payments run out, family receiving those payments will take a hit. If it goes on longer, services like U.S. national parks could see funding streams dry up. So then they put out a memo of what is actually still open now. Medicare and Medicaid social health programs for the elderly and poor will continue, but staffing shortages could lead to some interruptions to service. So of course, that's understandable. National Flood Insurance Program will be closed. That affects property sales. Food assistance programs will also be impacted. I heard Mike Johnson, Speaker of the House, he is such a hypocrite. He's one of these ones proclaiming to be this big time Christian. And he was up there lying about if the Democrats allow this shutdown. Again, it's not the Democrats that allowed the shutdown. This is Republicans have majority. He said if they allow this shutdown, SNAP, WIC, all of those are going to be affected. Everybody knows Republicans hate SNAP and WIC and all of that, and they've cut it to the bone since they've been in office. And it's not fraud, waste, and abuse. Actually, the Biden-Harris administration, that administration pulled over half of America's children out of poverty. So for a Christian nation, which I don't believe, but that's what they claim, now we're letting children go hungry again. So that's really terrible. Okay, so we have the 90 million non-voters. I'm also looking at them. I mean, we know the people that voted for the Orange Clown, even though they're out here crying, they're making TikTok videos, they're standing in the food bank line, they're claiming they never wanted this. Mama 59 Works, thank you. She says, good morning. This is my other moderator and my sister. She says, please like and share. She's got it on the big TV. This shutdown is a big mess and an unnecessary move. It's very unnecessary. She's fuming. Yeah, I think it is to be able to. The orange clown, he has no discretion. So a lot of things he overhears, or they have the meetings in front of him, because you can't convince me that he is actually involved in it. He is saying that a lot of stuff they're going to try to slide through and make certain cuts permanent, that they consider things that are non-essential. Just because there's such a thing as essential workers, meaning people that work for the FAA or TSA, that doesn't mean the other people are not essential. If you send in paperwork for a passport, things like that, you still need that to get processed. So I don't understand that. Also, ICE is not getting paid during this. So Republicans own this shutdown from the top to the bottom. And it's just been a crazy week for me, y'all. We found out a few days ago there was another incident of a person being found in a wheel well. This was actually in my work area. Everyone knows I work for an airline, my local airport. A flight that came in from Paris. They do a total maintenance check, and they found a deceased person in the wheel well. So this person somehow stowed away. I don't know. I guess there's been a case or two where people have survived, but the cases I hear of, the people have not survived. They had one years ago. I remember he was able to enter. It was a young man, and they found him. His body fell out somewhere along the way. He had stowed away on a flight to New York. But this flight, the body made it all the way from Paris here to the East Coast, and they're deceased. So that plane's been pulled out of service. It's a 777. It's out of service. There's all kind of investigations going on. Also on the other end to find out how he got into the restricted area of that airport. Charles de Gaulle, also without a ticket, of course, because you stowed away in the wheel well. And I noticed, I didn't know exactly what had happened, but there was an email that went out that said that they were offering the employee assistance program for employees that have access to the area, the impacted area. So I'm off Tuesdays and Wednesdays. This was Monday night I found out about it. The young lady, one of our crew chiefs, brought snacks for us. And she was talking about it, that she had seen that the airplane was out of service longer than normal, more so than just the general maintenance check. So that has me kind of down, just thinking about how desperate people are now, and that we've just started. This person has just been in office since January 20th. And it's not just the United States. He's had such a negative impact, in my opinion, and in my experience, on the world. And it's something that did not have to be done. I'm not one of the people to sit back and say, I told you so, or anything like that. But it is something that 100% didn't have to be done. I feel like something's been unleashed with the second time electing a person like this, because we knew how terrible he was, in my opinion, the first time around. I saw it in him, how disgraceful and how terrible he is. The crew that voted for him proclaimed they didn't see that, and that's not the reason they voted for him. But I do think a lot of those people, even though they won't admit it, I feel like they wanted to hurt other people, and they didn't think that they would be impacted. But of course, everyone is now impacted on how this person is conducting themselves. So it's funny how anything that would help anybody, like healthcare, SNAP, anything like that, it's something that's not important. It's a handout. It's a giveaway. Fraud, waste, and abuse. But anything that helps him and his ilk is something that he considers necessary. Like the ballroom. How you building a new ballroom and then lying and claiming, oh, that's not coming out of the American taxpayers' money? Yes, it is. It actually is. So that whole scenario is just a mess. And I know a lot of people that even couldn't stand President Obama and didn't want VP Harris, wish that we had someone as qualified as them in office. I know I do. I know for a fact I would love to have either one of them back. I think the event that also happened last week, when we started seeing the HBCUs and the young people at HBCUs get threatened over an event that happened in Utah by a person that looked exactly like this person. He looked like he could have been a younger cousin, honestly. Yet HBCUs are the ones being threatened. So that shows you what that ilk, what their goal was anyway, was to always target us. So when people said, oh, you know, y'all are going to be next. We're not next. We're always first. We're always the target. We're always the ones that somebody's coming after. It's not a victim mentality. It's not anything like that. It's just a person that reads, understands, knows history, and can recognize patterns. And I wish I were someone that sometimes can just put things in the back of my mind or not worry about it. But I can be anxious. I can worry about things, think about things. And this has just been a really tough week. So everybody who is also having a tough week, my sister, one of my sisters is a real prayer warrior, and she sent me a really beautiful prayer this morning. I won't share it, but I thought it was really, really sweet. Also, I picked up after we heard about Sandra Shakur passing away. I already had this in my library. This is Asada. She passed away in Cuba, free. We had old bug-eyed, didn't earn it Cash Patel, angry that there are people that do mourn this freedom fighter, and we don't mourn that other person that's trying to steal someone else's legacy. Because October 14th, that's the day that people are supposed to get together and honor him. But for me, that is the day that Martin Luther King Jr. found out that he received the Nobel Peace Prize, and I'll have more information on him if I'm live. October 11th, one of my nieces is having her birthday party, which I will be at. I wanted to be out of the country. That is Black Girls Day off. I did not plan to go with the group that is going. I had other plans, but now I don't even want to fly. It just depends on if the government is still closed, because it is a huge mess with TSA. Like I said, I felt deliberately we're targeting people to miss their flights and to inconvenience people, make people as angry and as anxious as possible. So I don't understand why that is something that's done, but it is. It's done. Excuse me. And let me see what else I had on here. Ms. Z, hello, welcome in. Thank you so much. I'm so annoyed with everything that's going on. Yeah, Ms. Z, I feel you. I feel the same way. And I feel, I don't know, I'm just trying to get my spirits up because I was in kind of like a funny mood anyway. Before I went to bed last night, I said, I don't think they're going to make a deal. And the orange clown, his whole demeanor, him and that drunken peacock, all that strutting, I just thought the cockiness and the arrogance, that's something that's gonna be humbled, but they're not the only ones that's gonna be impacted by us. And I'm just worried about people that don't even have a week to spare where they can miss a paycheck. Because during that last time, TSA, immediately they were not getting paid. They still had to come to work, and we ride the employee bus with them. Honestly, I could see the difference in some of them. Some of their uniforms are getting kind of dingy. I mean, imagine if you are going to work every day and you don't even have money to wash your uniform or send it to the cleaners. They had a food pantry. My company has set up a food pantry for the other workers. It is unnecessary. This is unnecessary. If the government does nothing else, if the federal government does nothing else, they know how to withdraw that money from your paycheck. That's going to happen by hook or by crook. So all they have to do is go to work in that cushy job, negotiate. I frankly get tired of all that talking, but that's one of their jobs. They should be able, a legislator is supposed to legislate. That's one of the 3 branches of government. And that's another reason I feel we got into this foolishness. We got a lot of ignorant people out here now. I was watching a YouTube video put out by a young man he works for PBS, and he was doing on the street reporting. He was asking people if they knew the 3 branches of government. Grown people did not know. I remember that from civics. Well, civics hasn't been in school in years, but I think that might have been 4th grade civics. So it was executive, legislative. Let's see, the president was executive, legislative was Congress, and then judicial, of course, was the courts. But there were people that did not even know that. They didn't know there were 100 senators. He was asking some of the most basic questions. And I have a pocket constitution. It's very, it's small. It's easily readable. I could tell by the strutting that that drunken peacock was doing yesterday. I could tell he's never read the Constitution. Same thing about the orange clown. The whole thing is just a mess. Yeah, Mama 59 works. Hi, Ms. Z. Thank you for coming in. I'm going to have a much lighter topic. Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, which is one of the reviews that I do. That was on last night. It was another good episode. And I'll have that review at 2:30 p.m. today, Eastern. Mama 59 Works says, yes, October 11th, Black Girls Day off. Yeah, it is. So I'm going to see what I'm actually going to do. Mama 59 Works is offering words of encouragement. Good morning, Ms. Z. Try not to let it get to you. Yeah, that prayer that I received this morning, it really meant a lot to me because I really needed that. I had a situation I shared on this channel a couple of weeks ago. I walked up on someone. Everyone knows I work in the middle of the night. I walked up on someone who he was bragging to another coworker that he found, and this is someone that I know it well enough to say good morning to. Oh, your vacation, how'd it go? What are you doing your next bid? This, that, and the other. He was bragging to another coworker that he had finally got a chance to tell someone, go back to Africa. And it took a minute to recognize his voice. There's only like 3 or 4 people that come in that early. And then usually myself and another coworker are kind of leaving or going to another area around that time, but I happen to still be in another part of the break room. And when I heard that, it was so shocking to me. And when I went in there and he saw me, he looked like he had saw a ghost. And the other person looked embarrassed. But the other person, to his credit, he didn't, maybe not even to his credit, because he wasn't speaking. He didn't say, he wasn't encouraging it. This was all this other person's big mouth. And then he didn't know if I heard him. He said, good morning, Sandra. And I didn't say anything. So the next morning he smiled and said, good morning, Sandra. And I said, Tony, I heard you. I don't have anything for you anymore. I don't have any good mornings, nothing. I heard what you said. Found it disgraceful. I didn't report him or anything. My company's union, but the area that we're in, it's majority men in that area. It's majority white men, and they know that each other do that. I've had things happen with different ones of them before. So a part of the prayer that I was sent this morning was just wishing me peace and not being impacted by people that were coming to just kind of steal my joy. So I'm trying not to let all the other stuff go on impact me. But I might need to take a few days or even longer than that off. I have fun stuff that's coming up. But again, now I don't know whether or not I'm going to be able to travel next week or not. And I'm not even sure if I want to. So the birthday party, it's a kid's birthday party. It's a pool party, y'all, even though it is October. It's inside. So that should still be okay. And it's only going to be about 10 kids and then other family and stuff like that. So I'm looking forward to that. But yeah, it's hard when just different things affect me, and I'm trying not to let it, but it is hard. Ms. Z says, I feel like the Democrats need to do a live citizen vote, American Idol style, and say, guys, we can agree to the Republican demands, but this will be the cost. What do you want us to do? Ms. Z, I think that would be perfect. They're not at work. They're not doing anything else. I mean, and I think that would draw people in. Now, that some people, other than the people that are, that are essential, have to go to work, but the ones that are not able to report to work, I'm sure that is something that a lot of people would tune into. I actually am always shocked by the number of people that appear to be just disaffected, like the 90 million non-voters. I don't understand that. There's a huge that mayoral race in New York. I think that impacts the country because New York City is it's a city that impacts the whole world. So Eric Adams dropped out. So just the thought that they would consider putting Andrew Cuomo in there, the other man running, Mamdani. Now, I'm no huge fan of him. I remember him kind of speaking for the non-committed movement against Kamala Harris. I don't have a lot of respect for people that did that because I feel like they just took their hands off of a situation that was going to impact everybody. So I'm interested to see what's going to happen with this mayoral race. I don't think they would put Andrew Cuomo in. I mean, why would you want to be governor and then step down to something like mayor? It just, none of the things make sense. So yeah, I'm with Mama 59 Works. Try not to let it get to you. But again, I can take my own advice and try not to let it get to me. All right, let me see what else I have going on. All right, I received another word of encouragement from one of my sisters. What you are is God's gift to you. What you make of yourself is your gift to God. That looks like one of my mother's old plaques. Is that one of mommy's plaques? Yeah. Another, the title, y'all saw it, is Are We Great Yet? That's an old thumbnail that I had that was during the debate that the Orange Clown had against VP Harris. I'm still shocked that people let things like, oh, is that her laugh? Or, you know, she's all kind of stuff they were saying about her, whether or not she's really a black woman. If her father's Jamaican and her mother is Indian, of course that in this country, because we're so crazy about naming someone of a certain race, that makes her black according to the rules that they set up. But according to them, you know, now it's something different. Good morning, Sharon Gobble. Thank you so much for coming in. I appreciate it. She's speaking to myself and everyone in the chat. We were just talking about this crazy situation with the government shutdown. I don't know how long it would last. I'm wondering how long it would last, because I really feel for the people that are not going to be getting a paycheck during this time, but are having to report to work anyway. I can't imagine that. So I go back to work tomorrow. Did you see the clips from the military meeting? Yes, I was watching that. Some of it I watched on mute, but I was watching the DUI hire, Kegseth. I was watching his, I call him Keg. I know it's Hegseth. I call him Keg on purpose. He was drunk. I mean, he's been a drunk. We've seen him drunk. I don't think he was drunk yesterday. I felt like there was a new energy, almost, you know what I think about Kash Patel, skiing the slopes. I'm trying to use different code language for what I think about them. But yeah, he was just all keyed up. All that pacing and the way he was talking to the generals. What I did appreciate when the Orange Clown came in the room, and I think he thought the generals were going to jump up screaming or whatever. If you've known military people, that's not their demeanor anyway. That is not how they conduct themselves, especially on the job. So I love the fact that they sat there. They were silent. Something he had said stupid, and a couple of people maybe cackled a little bit. And he was like, oh, you can't laugh. You can do whatever you want. You can applaud if you want. Of course, nobody applauded. I was happy to see that. I was happy to see the poker faces. I think they're about sick of him. But if you know the military, they play a lot of Fox Entertainment on the bases. And so, unfortunately, a lot of them, I've heard over 60% have voted that way. They vote for the Orange Clown. And then look what he's done. He's never respected veterans. Yeah, he was mad no one clapped. Did you notice that? He was really upset. And then the DUI hire, he had a line where he thought he was really going to kill. He was up there like, yeah, we're going to bring war ethos back. These are people that are actually, they show one general. He has so many tags and stuff. I can't imagine the number of years of service, different military campaigns he'd been in. He was so decorated. 4-star general, just decorated, compared to this person that was the Fox News Entertainment host. But he was saying, we're going to bring back Department of War. And they were just silent. So I think that is a good sign. We'll see. Sandra, can we please talk about the Orange Clown show his complete tale at the palace last week? I forgot to mention that. Yes, they're talking about fraud, waste, and abuse. But he was over in England, of course, meeting with King Charles. I always want to call him Prince Charles, but meeting with King Charles and his wife, the Queen. Oh, is she the Queen? Camilla the Queen? No, they call her something else. She's not the Queen. King Charles. The staff, the royal staff, who never speaks on anything, they are notoriously tight-lipped. They leaked to the British press. They said they had to throw away the sheets. They said the sheets had all kind of orange stuff or tanning stuff. There were all kind of tanning. I don't know if they were bottles or lotion or what. I don't know what they spray that food with, honestly. And I'd like to know how many bottles it take to cover his. Let me not even. I don't even want to think about it. It said Melania was rude, of course. She didn't want to be there, but I guess the check cleared and she has to show up for certain events. And then Obama was in London. I wonder if I have a video of Obama in London. They showed his Secret Service. It was a young sister. Yeah, Orange Clown. Sometimes I don't even want to say his name is Z, and that's how I have to refer to him. Obama's Secret Service. Of course, he has Secret Service that is not the ones that the Orange Clown would have. He has his own. But I wish, if I could find that. He was walking to the car. I don't know what he was doing over there. He's not selling a book or anything, but he's on some kind of tour where he's going around. No, that's just a still. I miss them, though. You couldn't get Michelle back into that life for anything, and I don't blame her. And everything that's said, of course, is my opinion. I forget to run a banner sometime, y'all. Bottles, and he talked to the guard and they shut him down. Did he? You know, you're not supposed to talk to those people. That is so ridiculous. He has no cool, no anything like that. I think that's why he is so jealous of the Obamas. When he was up at the UN, he was almost begging. They said he was almost begging to get a Nobel Peace Prize, but he's not going to get one because why would you change something called Department of Defense? And it's not officially changed, but he wants to call it the Department of War. Because I think they're going to, hopefully not, I'm praying that they're not, but they want some kind of conflict just to take people's mind off of them still trying to rob us and robbing the Treasury. Because all this fraud, waste, and abuse they're talking about, I don't see it. I think that it's his incompetence that's causing us to waste a lot more money. Especially when you cut something like 300,000 Black women from the federal government. We know how we are at work and how efficient we are and how we just go about doing our business. And I think they want to replace us with a lot of DEI, didn't earn it, because the didn't earn it is not the diversity, equity, and inclusion. They tried to label it that, but it's not. The DEI, the didn't earn it is people like Kegs that was up there yesterday. Hi. I think you got cut off. One thing, OR. Oh, we're going to say something else about President Obama. Yeah, they can't. The worst they had on that man was the tan suit. I'm telling you. The worst thing they ever had on him. And he looked good in that tan suit. Somebody showed that picture the other day. I said, look at that suit. I said, that's why they were angry about it. Sharon says, Sandra P. The sad part is Orange Man's people know he's wrong, but they'll still vote for him again. I don't know. The way those farmers are crying, they're saying they out of business and the stuff is rotten in the field. Now, they've already chased a lot of the immigrants out that were doing the work. They're scared to show up for work. I was reading an article about Carrie Underwood. She has a large farm in Tennessee. She's a famous maggot. She sung at the inauguration. I knew Carrie had that in her, though. Not just because she's a country singer. I just knew she had that in her. She and her husband, her little children, y'all, they were out there trying to do chores on that farm. And she was saying 80% of the people are not coming in, and it's hard, it's this, it's that. I don't feel anything for Carrie Underwood. None of them. Mama Bees is giving us figures. It will cost over $1 billion to change the Department of Defense to the Department of War. Yeah, I don't see Congress voting for that. That would absolutely be fraud, waste, and abuse. Because what difference does the name make? And I think something like the Department of War would just be dangerous for the country. It looks like you are itching for a fight, which is what he was doing yesterday. That peacock was up there, and when he said something about, yeah, I want people to know if they mess with us, they're going to FAFO. That's something I say here, just, talking silly or whatever. That's not something a cabinet secretary would say. FAFO. And when they pan to the generals are just, that was my expression too. It's just a mess. One thing Orange Clown mentioned was an executive order to create a military subgroup to respond to civil disobedience. Why? I think he's getting ready for martial law. Yeah, Ms. Z, that's what the police department is, to protect and serve the cities, the areas that they're in. The military has never been for domestic use. It's never been. What he's doing is not even allowed. Even the National Guard is under the authority of the governors. They belong to the states. He's not supposed to send National Guard troops into different cities. You notice he's targeting certain cities. He's not supposed to send them into cities for anything other than if there's a national disaster, then governors can request to send National Guard. But this is crazy. I think he is getting ready to attack people that don't agree with him. It's happening a lot faster than people thought that it would happen. Sharon Gobble is laughing at Carrie Underwood, saying, let her family do the work. She got little kids too. And her husband, he was some type of sports star. He's not used to working either. But again, they talk that talk. Sometimes you have to back it up. And whoever that 20% is that's still going to work, I wouldn't work for either. If she had any, well, I guess it's hard for them to do that. They need the money, they need their job. But then that says to me that Carrie must have had a lot of people that didn't have their paperwork together. She should have been trying to help them get their paperwork together if she wanted them to come in and work. So I don't understand that. Yeah, I didn't save that. I thought I had saved it. So let me see. Oh, my sister confirmed. Yeah, that is mommy stuff. I still actually I have a few things. I've been thinking more and more about spending more time traveling, but I would have to come up with like what I would do as far as a furlough from work. My job does offer things like that. If I were to have a furlough, it could be from a year, it could be longer than that. It just depends on what category it would be up under. But y'all, this might be the perfect time for me to try to do something like that. I'm at a place now where it's just, I don't know, especially with what happened when I got, the first thing that happened was I got the email about employee assistance program and I didn't know what had happened. And then one of the crew chiefs I work with, the young lady had brought the snacks in and she was like, oh yeah, she was just talking about, you hear about the plane, the 777 that came in and it's still over there in the hangar because, and they had found that young person's body in the wheel well. And I was just thinking about the desperation of people and the different things that are going on. And it's just been, the whole situation has been a mess. So I'm looking forward to doing my Salt Lake City review today because that's kind of like something fun, just housewives doing a little arguing and that kind of stuff. Because when you look at political discourse, it's usually negative. I wish it weren't, but it is. Mama 59 works is hollering at Sharon. You may be also able to take a sabbatical if your job offers it. That's what it is. It is. They call it furlough, but one of the purposes is for a sabbatical. So that definitely is one of the options that I will look into. The great thing about my channel is that I would still be able to post. So Sandra P is free to move about the cabin. That is one of the things that I would be able to go live with, because when I go for BravoCon, I'm going to attend a lot of the events. So I'll be live out at BravoCon and I'm staying on the strip. I'll be in a hotel that's not the property that they have. I think they're having a lot of the events that plan in Hollywood. They sent a schedule this morning. So I'm just looking through because they have a lot of things going on like at the same time. So I'll be able to figure out which ones are more important to me. Of course, the shows that I cover and the ones that have the Bravo celebrities that I'm interested in and I just think are fun to listen to and I think would be interesting to cover for the channel. So that's what I'll be looking at. And let me see. I was trying to find his London trip. That was Obama went to London after Trump. He should troll him and do that. Every time Trump goes somewhere and they troll him everywhere he go. They can't stand him. They had that huge Trump baby floating. They had that Epstein and Trump statue. They do all kind of stuff. Okay, here, let me see. I might have to. No, that's not the one. What I'll do, I'll make a separate post with that. I'll make a separate post. Oh, Sharon, the new season of Survivor. I just saw the first episode. It actually put me to sleep, but I am going to watch it. There's a young kid on there. You know, I like to choose someone that I can identify with. I haven't identified a person yet, but someone named Rizzo, I think he's a Greek kid. He's from my hometown of Yonkers. So I don't know. I may take him up under my wing, but I still have to decide if I want to take one of the sisters up under my wing. The one they have out there, to me, they're kind of silly. The one that's kind of reveling the fact that I don't know how to do anything. I can talk, but I don't know nothing about starting a fire, this, that, and the other. I'm like, girl, why you come out here like that? At least learn how to start a fire or collect wood for the shelter or bamboo or do something. So yeah, that is another, I do like watching Survivor. I got through the first episode, but the second episode is tonight. I have to finish that. And then what I'll probably do is just do the review 1 and 2. But I am going to review that. So that's it with the government shutdown. We haven't heard any more as far as the length of it. I don't know what they're going to do about that, when they're going to next meet. Ted Cruz, did y'all see that statement he made? He made a statement about, we need to stop attacking pedophiles. Excuse me, I don't need to say that on YouTube, but that's what a sitting U.S. Senator from Texas said. I wonder if Ted got something to tell us. What does he mean, stop attacking them? That's the main people to attack. That's another thing that the shutdown stops in its tracks right now, y'all. They had a vote coming up on, of course, the release of the Epstein files. So now the brakes are on that for right now. That's a mess. So this whole scenario, I just want everybody to think as positively as we can. I'm going to try to take my own advice because y'all know I like to keep it fun and light, but it's not always easy to do that, especially with what we have going on in this country. And then knowing that half the people voted for that. And then some of the ones, like I said, there were over 90 million non-voters. So there were more non-voters than there were voters for one party or the other party. So there's a lot of work to do. A lot of people feel like things don't impact them until it does. So I'm going to wrap this up. We've been talking over 40 minutes, and I just wanted to check in with the political discourse this week. I'll have another one later in the week. I actually hope that this is one of those quick shutdowns, because the last few times that the government has shut down, the orange clown has been the one in power. And I want people to start seeing that pattern. People can talk about the Democrats all they want to, and all that talking and strongly worded statements and all this, that, and the other. But the one thing that I know of them, they can be kind of a disaster, but they do work for the good of most people, most of the working class people. And from what I see of the Republicans, they seem to me to always try to cater to the richer people, especially the billionaires. And they've got this kind of upside down, bizarro world where they convince people where if somebody needs a little bit of help, like they get SNAP or they get some type of housing subsidy or something like that, they try to paint them as a deadbeat or something like that. And that's not the case. Whereas if a billionaire is getting subsidies, like we were paying Musty, the South African, all that money daily to lie and cut jobs and run around with a chainsaw, and they knew the man was on special K, he was up there high and in a t-shirt, but they kind of looked up to that and thought it was cute. And then we look at the orange clown over there, they got to throw the sheets away when that man left the castle, had to throw sheets away. So I don't know. I can't say, I'm not doing that. But there's, how do they put it? Something about evil, that one side is evil and the other side is something. I know that one side is not as bad as the other. I'll just say that without saying, well, you know what? I can say I'm not a Democrat. I'm unaffiliated, but I haven't been able to vote with that other group in, I don't know when. I don't see anything that they do for working class people, in my opinion. Sharon agrees. Mama B says the vote will be 2 weeks after the swearing in of the new Democratic senator is sworn in on October 6th. So hopefully the government will be open by then. I wonder, because today's October 1st. One of my sisters, my younger sister's birthday is October 6th. We actually are going to Uncle Charlie's cookout. That'll be something fun. I'm looking forward to that. That's Sunday night. So Uncle Charlie's cookout, of course, is Charlie Wilson. It's El DeBarge, Casey Haley from Jodeci, and somebody else we have. Uncle Charlie, El DeBarge, Casey Haley, Babyface. Babyface has so many songs all by himself. Y'all, we're going to be standing out there half the night, but I'm okay with it. So that's something fun I'm looking forward to. That's this weekend, and it's a huge outside venue. So I hope the weather's kind of mild. For some reason, we've had a little bit of rain over the last couple of weeks. We get like a downpour a certain time every night. So with this being an outside show, I hope that doesn't happen this weekend, but I'm looking forward to that. And I will talk to everyone if you're able to come back. If you watch Salt Lake City, if not, just support my review. I'll tell you what happened. I'll do a short little recap, and then I will give my opinion on it. It was a pretty good episode. So that's Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. That's at 2:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then I'll figure out what day I'm going to do another political discourse. Sandra, I'm independent, but I lean to the left because the right can't get it together. Ms. Z, that's exactly where I stand, especially living in North Carolina now. Sometimes it's not safe to try to line up with that other crew. It is not. They don't have independent. They have, you would either be registered Democrat, Republican, or unaffiliated. If you're unaffiliated, when they have the primary, we just state like which party's ballot you want. So I think that's kind of an okay way to do it. That's how I've been doing it for the past few years at least. Sharon is telling me the concert that's going to be good. Enjoy. Thank you so much. I'll probably pull out my phone and record a little bit, share what I can For Sandra P is free to move about the cabin. But those of you that were able to join me this morning, I actually feel a lot better just talking to you all, checking in a little bit since I came in. When I actually came in this morning, I was kind of down, y'all. So rest in power to Asada Shakur. They're jealous of her, y'all. She made it all the way to Cuba, stayed there. They kept her safe, and she is free. She got her wings. She's an ancestor, and we mourn who we want to mourn. And right now, it's Sister Asada Shakur, resting in power. Oh, I put a link on, y'all, to let me see. I put a link on. I listened to Urban View, and they were playing an old Donny Hathaway. They were playing an old Donny Hathaway song. And so I put the link on. I want y'all to go and listen to that. That will actually make, it made me feel a lot better. So I can't really, make sure y'all go in. Click the link.